My name is Ariana, and I am homeless.
Good morning.
I do.
It's actually 3:36 a.m. and I have already watched All In with Ari, her new video. This time she explains why she is not living with family and how she actually lived with family but it didn't work out. So if you're interested, you should go watch that. Let's talk about it, guys. Let's talk about, like, would you do it? If you were in that situation, how would you survive? For me, I thought, let me share why I wouldn't be able to do this in my country. Okay, so first of all, okay, so I live in South Africa, if you don't know, and in South Africa, one, it is not a common thing to live in a car if you've become homeless. Um, the reason being, socially, or shall I say, society-wise, it's very common that when you start to have financial troubles, the first thing you get rid of is your car and use public transport. In fact, people will say, "Why do you still have your car?" It's like very common. Like people will question you having a car when you don't have a place to stay. So you're like, "Why would you have a car if you don't have a place to stay?" Young people are advised all the time to build their own places or buy their own places before buying a car. It's just a thing that happens in South Africa, though not all of them do it, but it's a majority. That's the advice you would get. It's like, get a stable place before you buy a car and somewhere to go. So another thing would be renting a car in South Africa is not common. It's not. And we're talking about renting a car for long term. You can rent a car for like day, a week, but renting a car for 6 months, for example, it's just not common. It's just not common. And and the worst part is, most car rental companies don't even offer long-term periods, so it'd be very difficult to find a car company that does that. Thirdly, there are bylaws in South Africa. So you might get away with living in your car in more rural towns because they have less strict rules. But when it comes to metros such as Johannesburg, Durban, Cape Town, Pietermaritzburg, Bloemfontein, Pretoria, those places, you're going to struggle living in the city centers and in the suburbs in your car because of bylaws. Bylaws are more like local laws. We don't have, as a country, a law that stops you from living in your car, but bylaws stop you from living in your car for more than 24 hours. If you're caught, they will fine you. Okay, so I'm not sure how it works practically. I don't own a car, so I don't pay too much attention to a lot of it. I just know that there's a bylaw that states that living in your car for over 24 hours is not permissible, especially in the places that I mentioned. People struggled with this in Cape Town a while ago. If I remember, there was an article that I read. I'm going to go look it up and maybe talk about it if it's something worth talking about. And then, of course, South Africa being very high in crime, um, theft, theft. If you live in your car and it's parked in random places, thieves are going to spot you. And I'm not even talking about like big deal thieves. I'm talking about petty criminals who are going to take the light bulbs from your car, who are going to take the wheel caps, all these small things that they can start, wind wipers. They even can gain access to your fuel for your car and steal that. Very common. That's very common, by the way. They do that to random cars. So if your car is parked somewhere, they were going to notice it and you're going to become a target. So another thing would be hijacking in South Africa. It is very high. It's not very, very high, but it is high. It's something that happens too often, and most hijackings happen when people drive into their private homes. So I can just imagine being spotted by hijackers that you are living around in your car. They will take it. They will take it. Like I don't even have doubt on that one. They will take it. So that's just not safe. Um, and retrieving cars in South Africa is not at a high rate. It's not. Um, just generally, the level of safety as a woman in this country, not very high. It's not like it's not livable or something is gonna happen. It's just it's highly likely that it's gonna happen. We live in sort of like what some people would call rape central, rape capital, and the level of disrespect for women on the streets is not up to it's not something that you would want to deliberately put yourself in. So if you can help not living in your car, because like I said, some people have labeled this country rape central. It's just generally not safe. So yeah, those are my issues, and I would get anxieties every single day. I wouldn't be able to do it. But I can like in places like in the south coast in the KwaZulu Natal, it would be probably would be very cool to live in your car because they have beachfronts, and I guess that's where it would be like better to do it. Unfortunately, those places again they have bylaws, they have those seafronts and accessible areas. They have police, not the police that take care of crime, but like local municipality police who patrol there and have offices there. So they're gonna catch you eventually, and when they do, you're gonna get fined because of the bylaws. So yeah, go watch All In with Ari. Let's talk. Would you be able to do this in your country?
I do have a full-time job and I live in my car. And this is my home. This is where I live, that's where I sleep.